No, if I wanted to talk to somebody, couldn't text them, couldn't email them. You had to call their house and talk to their parents
and hope
first.
they were there.
Yeah, run interference, talk to their dad, And I think that is a change because you don't have to do that. Like if you want to ask a girl out, you just text her or whatever.
Use whatever,
app or whatever. But you don't have to call the house. Yes, excuse me, Mr. Wallace. Can I speak to Brandy? And so that.
Who the hell are you?
Yeah, well, that skill. That
I better not have no boys calling my house again for you.
Yeah. People don't know how to act because they don't have to be in those situations.
Well, being in those situations provides a certain amount of social maturing and
problem solving.
Problem solving and interacting with people that are
not your peers.
Yeah, exactly. That are of an older generation. So you've got to be able to on the fly hold a conversation in real time
and act right.
Yeah, and act like a normal person.
Yeah. That's just like the whole state senator trying to get rid of history.
Oh, that's fucking retarded.
I mean, duh.
That's not just a saying. If you don't know history,
it's true life.
You will repeat.
Doomed to repeat it. Yep.
I would still. I guess we'll just go right into that topic. I would like to hear a realistic reasoning how this fuck nugget, who we're talking about, he's a state senator from Illinois. He held a press conference urging the Department of Education in Illinois to, that's right, the S is silent.
Illinois?
No, not even if it's plural.
Illinois.
But
I hate when people say that.
God, me too. But anyway, urging the Department of Education to stop teaching history because, and he went on this bullshit tirade that he fucking somebody wrote for him. But one of the things was that it how did he put it? That it
wasn't promotes.
Yeah, basically it was like, for lack of a better phrase, it promotes white privilege. And what I asked was, if black students get taught that same history, do they also get the white privilege?
It was a Chicago.
You have to do the buy-in,
or is it an opt-out? Like if you don't show up, you don't get the privilege.
I guess.
Is it?
That's just so stupid.
Where is the privilege in learning history? Is it in the learning history, or is it in the history that you're being taught?
No, I'll tell you where it is, and I'm not even being funny. We need to actually teach history as it happened.
Instead of modifying it.
Not as it was spun.
Right. Not as we spin it or we would like to reimagine it.
But here's the bitch about that. There's a couple of them. Number one, history is written by the winners. Every war, nobody hears the loser's side. Right?
Absolutely.
And here's the other part, and this is the part that you can't get around. This is true like 99% of the time. It's true enough to be a fact. Nobody is the bad guy in their own story. Most of the time. Like almost never.
Maybe. I mean...
Here's an example. When Saddam invaded Kuwait, circa 1990-ish, you think he was the bad guy in that story when he told it?
Well, no, when he told it. But that's why history has to be, for it to be a teaching tool, for it to
It's got to be objective.
Objective and impartial. It has to be about facts, not feelings.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm 100% about that. Here's the problem, though, with that. For it to be truly objective, you kind of have to have both sides of the story.
That's absolutely right, and it should be taught that way.
Yes. But what I'm saying is, with the losers, it's really hard to go to them and say, "Hey, I know you just got fucked over real bad. Tell me your side."
No, but it shouldn't be.
For historical record.
I mean, let's think about this. So we talk about the Indian Wars.
Okay.
We decimated the cultures. We wiped out.
Are we talking about the white men versus Indians, or whatever name they prefer to be called?
I'm talking about what happened in this country to my ancestors, by my ancestors.
Or
because I'm on both sides.
Right. Or are we talking about the wars between the tribes?
No, because that had happened for a long time, and they didn't completely eradicate one another. They had an ecosystem that worked for them.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're clear on what exactly we're talking about.
And like, I'm on both sides of this. My ancestors were both the cowboys and the Indians. But we assume, just like you assume, because you've never really, it's not been an interest to you because you don't have that connection, you didn't realize how bad things are on the reservations today.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Right, but you are not somebody who just tries to avoid knowing things.
No.
But you didn't know that because it had never...
Well, yeah, that's not on my radar. That's
it's not
shit that I pay attention to.
Right, it's not things that you have a natural interest in, where...
Well, in Arkansas, you're not really... You don't live next to it either.
You know, but also, if you have a relationship to it, it has a greater pull on you. You know, I grew up watching the person I most admired was an Indian, and...
Who was that?
My grandpa.
Okay.
And so it made me...
This is going to sound stupid, I'm sure, or culturally insensitive, or whatever the fuck. Did he have an Indian name?
No.
Okay, he had a normal, anglicized...
Yeah. He had been living as a farmer. His family had been living as farmers for several generations. That's how they weren't moved on the Trail of Tears.
Oh, okay. Was he reliant?
Oh, no.
Her grandfather looked like he just walked in
right off the res. I mean, you put a headdress on him, and he could have been a cigar store Indian.
Yeah.
I mean, really, he had the bone structure, the color.
Seriously, yeah.
That's what I was like. You passed as white. Were all those people blind?
Well, but I think, but where we're talking about is
he only took meetings at night.
The Arkansas, like Hazen and all that, and I think it was a tight-knit community.
It was.
Of farmers.
That had been farming together for generations.
That,
they kind of looked out for each other.
Bob married this Indian woman, or this white woman married this Indian man, and their family, and we help each other on our farms, and and they protected each other.
Because now this Scottish family married this Indian family. Yeah. Now they're Indians and Scots, but they're all family, and so we all, and that's very much because they were all there for generations, and so. But I always thought that was funny because I was like, passed for white. Have they ever seen a white person? Whatever. You are the brownest white man I've ever seen. But
no, just tan, real easy.
Spent a lot of time outdoors. But yeah. So growing up with that, seeing, because he was literally my hero, and so I was always really drawn to and paid attention to those stories because just a few generations back, those were his realities,
right?
And so it was different for me. But yeah, like. They obviously lost. They were on the losing side. Nobody can deny that.
Here's my thing with that, because everybody likes to say, "Oh, you're stolen land," blah blah blah. All right, when you conquer a continent, you didn't steal the land. You fucking took it with force. It's not the same thing.
When you make treaties and you don't honor
that was the other part.
That's my thing.
That's the part that burns my asshole real bad, because we conquered the natives on this continent, and you know what? I hate it for them, but it is what it is.
But we didn't do so fairly. We lied, and we...
War is always unfair, but hold on, let me get back to what I'm saying. We made treaties with them, and this is the part that I have a bad problem with, is that we broke all of them. When you break a treaty, that is in fact an act of war. So technically, from the first time a treaty was broken,
but then but then when we would break a treaty, which, like you said, was an act of war, and the Indians would, get upset about it or retaliate for it,
slaughter them.
Then we would slaughter them like
their
they
women,
were in the wrong.
Their children, their elders, and dump them in mass graves.
Yes, and that's the part that I have a problem with.
We say we went to war. No, going to war means you pit your force against this force, not we wipe out your women and your children and your elders and your culture, and we burn everything you own to the ground and cut your hair and make you pretend to be someone else and take your children away. And that all those things happened. I could show you pictures of the Indian schools of hundreds of Indian children outside these schoolhouses with their hair shorn and dressed,
clothes. Yeah.
And they were beaten if they used any of their native language. That's not...
Yeah, that's the part that I have a problem with.
Yeah.
Like I said, when you go and colonize, it's ugly. But when you make a treaty for peace that both parties agree to, and then you break that, that's where I start to have a bad problem.
Here's the real reality. Those treaties were made because we were losing. We as the United States of America. The cost was becoming too costly. And that's why the treaties were made, to stop and hold our own and not lose.
Well, but whatever the reason was, both parties signed it.
Right.
Or all parties. There was more than two. But all parties agreed, and all parties signed it, and then the U.S. government started breaking it.
Immediately.
Yeah, and that's the part that I have a problem with. I mean, I hate it that a bunch of people died, but what I hate more is what happened after that. And this is something that I don't understand. And if I were to ever be appointed as the Secretary of the Interior, I'd have to look into this immediately. There are billions and billions and billions of dollars that just go out into the ether that are supposed to be going to these tribal leaders to do fucking whatever they need to get done.
Take care
A lot of
people.
times they don't ever get there.
Yeah, most times.
Yeah.
Because, well,
and I'm
I
sure
don't know
there's
why.
some corrupt tribal leaders
well,
that divert money.
sure.
But a lot of times it's not even getting.
Yeah, that's the problem. If I was the Inspector General for that department or the Secretary for that department, I would be hiring some forensic auditors, and I'd be like, someone's going to get fucked in their asshole for what's been going on.
Unfortunately, how far back would you have to go? You know what I mean?
I'd go whatever the statute of limitations is.
Because the fucking has been happening a long time.
Yeah, and I would tell the forensic auditors, the statute of limitations is, we'll call it 10 years. I don't know what it actually is.
And that's where we're going to go.
And that's you start there, and every penny that is misspent, you let me know how much and who did it, and we go fucking take care of this. But
I think you're talking about statute of limitations. I think there was a lot. I have a friend who was a tribal lawyer in New York, and I think there was a lot of things that our government did that allows them to get around a lot of that.
Yeah, okay, yeah, but when you have the Department of the Interior doesn't do shit else but supposed to take care of natives. They don't have another job. I think they have the fucking U.S. Park Service.
Yeah.
I think that and the natives. That's it.
Yeah.
That the whole department could be ran by like 4 people, right? But all of these billions of dollars that are designated in the congressional budget. You are not going to ever convince me that all of that money gets to where it's supposed to go, and these fucking reservations still look like third world shitholes. Yeah. Not going to buy it. No. But did you guys see that? And I think this happened this week. The president signed an executive order creating a task force to open up cold cases of missing Native women.
Yeah, I think that was actually last week.
Yeah. Was it last week? Okay.
Yeah, because it has been an ongoing thing. I mean,
they just completely ignore them.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think 5 times more likely if you're an indigenous woman to be murdered than a white woman. It's just, and then like Amber said, then they just, she dead. Don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's sick. It's because, they're not
the tribal law enforcement doesn't have the resources and the money to investigate, and nobody else gives.
Well, I bet he'd have the money and time and all that if it was one of his own.
Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing.